WeChat Wednesdays. It's so interesting. I just turned comments off. So we're going to try this for the first time. I've never done it before. But it also is such a unique thing for me because now I don't know if people are on. So I'm just looking at numbers as they come up. So hi everyone, welcome to WeChat Wednesdays. I'm very excited to do this. I have to say I was absolutely overwhelmed by the amount of topics that everyone wanted to talk about. And I think for those that have been up to date with my page, I have been very over committed and burned myself out a little bit. And so when this Wednesday was coming up to do WeChat Wednesdays, I got a lot of anxiety this morning. And luckily, I think the irony is my therapy sessions happen every Wednesday morning. And I think that's very on par for the day that WeChat Wednesdays happen. So I was able to kind of talk through it and figure out what we talk about today. And I really just wanted to discuss why do this? Why connect with everyone? Why talk with everyone? And I asked you the same question, why it's important, and I'm going to pull up those questions. I think I have it right on how to do that to see why this would be important to you as well. But that was really the question I got asked this morning was, why do I want to do this? And for me, it's just really about having honest conversations about life, which was evident in the wide scope of topics that you guys sent that you wanted to discuss. And I just want to be able to reduce isolation. A lot of times we feel alone in our thoughts and our stresses and our worries, and it's really good to know you're not alone. It's really good to know you're not alone, that there's other people out there. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about this community that's been created, is that we all feel there's been so many friendships formed, and we all feel like we can really connect with each other, and by doing so build these bonds and again not feel alone in the world, this tough thing called life. So in the theme of being authentic, I worked out this morning. I got my 3 miles in. I did therapy, I did tennis, and I figured I would show up not done up, not glamour, makeup and everything, even though you guys know I love a good glamour session. I just figured I'd show up as authentic as possible. So here I am, wanting to have honest conversations that really build empowerment through connection and dialogue and talking about stuff. I think for me, WeChat Wednesdays will definitely eventually maybe the podcast form into something where I want to bring people on to really talk about things, because mine is opinion based. Mine is, the things I have to say are based on the experiences I've had in life. But bringing other people on to bring other perspectives is what's so important. So I'm really looking forward to doing that at some point and giving a recap of the things I might have learned in the week or the day or the year. So yeah, I want to stop there. I want to look at your questions, or what you guys said in the question box. I'm trying to think of everything else too. But I want to make it clear that that's like, this is what's so important to me, is that we really learn to connect and talk about things and not feel so alone in this world. And yeah, I think that's really important, that this kind of space exists. So we're testing it out. I'm looking at numbers. There's no commenting. It's such a unique experience right now, but I know a lot of people are like, turn commenting off so I could really engage in the conversation. I'm glad I am. So I'll go to the question box just to see why this is so important to you. And talking about real life stuff is important because it helps us connect and help on a human level. Everyone has different life experiences. Sharing can gain new perspectives. Yep, the new perspectives is a huge one. As someone who struggles with anxiety, I think it's important to talk about this. Yeah, to see that you're not alone. Very much, I think we're all on the same page as of now that I've read these, that really that's what's important, is not feeling alone. It helps with the well-being and mental health, absolutely. I think that's a result of conversation and talking and not feeling alone. I love this. Someone said talk about girlhood and besties. There's so many topics to talk about. Oh, this is great. A problem shared is a problem halved. And I love that, whether it's family, friends, or a therapist. So I really hope that that also gives that to people as well. Less alone, yes. Less alone. It's really, what's so interesting is that a lot of these answers are the same, which is feeling less alone, which is so important. And I'm glad that I was able to really be like, why am I doing this? And I wish something like this existed when I was younger. Just the ability to kind of hop online and find somebody that's speaking truth and authenticity and kind of saying things that no one else is talking about, or giving some advice that I don't know. That's why I want to bring people on, because I'm torn as to how much advice I can actually give. Breaks down barriers to difficult conversations, inspiring others, empowering, gives space for vulnerability and growth. That's a huge one. Yeah, being real without shame, not putting on a front, authenticity, of course. Sometimes we forget about the real life stuff because of social media. That's kind of it's interesting, because I think there's this weird, I wouldn't necessarily love hate, this is such a strong word, but like there's this push and pull with social media, right? We get sucked into it, and then some people you find you're like, am I comparing myself to their lives, and all that people are presenting themselves as is the best version of themselves, which I can't fault people for, but it's interesting that that's like, okay, that's what we go on, and we're addicted to it, and it's the first thing we go to when we turn on our phone, and we look at other people's lives and we're like, oh, I'm not doing that, they're doing that, and oh, that looks like a lot of fun, or we're not in relationships and they are, so we're like, why can't I have that? I think it unfortunately can tend to be that, when it's really nice to, I think, present something that's more like, hey, listen, this last week has been rough. I'm showing up in my workout clothes with no makeup and dirty hair in my backyard so that I can just be like, listen, this last week was rough. I missed everything I could possibly miss. I screwed up my schedule. I couldn't figure out a balance. Even this morning, you know who you are. I apologize. I completely missed an interview I was supposed to be having. So, it just happens, and that's okay. And we're all human, and we're doing our best. And what's great is to have acceptance and forgiveness and grace in all of this. So I wanted to kind of bring up that as well, being authentic in this platform, which was interesting that person brought up, which is really hard to do because so many people want to present the best version of themselves. And to be clear, that's exactly, I look at some people's pages that are just so beautifully aesthetic, and I'm like, why can't I have that? I was like, why can't I create a beautifully aesthetic page? And the truth is it's beautiful in its own way, first and foremost, but also, I don't curate. I kind of am like, this is what I'm feeling like. I want to post this video. I want to post this picture. And I try to be as true as possible to that. I definitely feel the pressure to constantly post and do things like that, which I'm trying to give myself more grace with, as thanks to everybody who also says that to me all the time, like, go easy on yourself. You don't have to do it all the time. But I'm one of those people. So it's hard to do that, but I'm working on it. What else? I know that there's I wanted to go over some of the conversations that you guys wanted to have and how I'm going to frame them. I even really want to bring you guys on to really have conversations about certain things. One of the things that obviously I do the conventions a lot, and I really personally, it was one of the topics that wasn't mentioned, but I want to be able to talk to you guys about why you love conventions so much. I never went to conventions growing up as a kid. I don't know if they really existed. They must have. But I really love to hear from you guys. So I think it's also those conversations about what I'm kind of interested in the world. And I think that's what it is, right? The intrigue and curiosity, and somehow leading to being empowered and inspired through these conversations. But you guys brought up conversation topics like obviously mental health, job rejection, I'm reading them off, book recommendations, how to stay to be a nice person and humble, travel tales, pet peeves, happiness, finding it, food tasting, chatting with you guys in lives, friendships, how to navigate friendships is a big one. I'm going through a lot of that right now. Just trying to find the balance and feeling like at times I'm certain friends are getting their feelings hurt because I just can't be everywhere at once. But I'm learning that, and I'm learning how to have honest and authentic conversations where I'm like, listen, I'm trying. Navigating social media, I mean, that's still a work in progress. I feel like social media is it's this new thing that technically for my generation didn't exist until, I don't even know when this came out. Definitely not in high school. So I had MySpace. Shout out to anyone who remembers MySpace. So I think really having a healthy relationship with social media, and I still don't know if I know what that is. Cooking, all conversations about cooking, which I would love to talk about. I love yummy food, as everyone knows. Script from filming processes behind the scene. It was interesting. Someone said the power of yes and how saying no has impacted my life. But I would have to say that for me, it's the opposite. My gut reaction is to always say yes, and I'm having to practice to say no, which is extremely hard for me, like extremely hard. So if anyone else is like that, there's also this book, if you're a people pleaser out there, it's just on my mind, so I'm gonna go with it, there's a book called Codependent No More that was just so fascinating and insightful, and I'm almost done with it now, but it was somebody, if you're a people pleaser, it very much would appeal to you, if that's your personality type. So I have more of an issue saying no than I do saying yes. How to stay balanced, I'm currently struggling with that. The directing process is advice that I wish I'd been given so much that I would love to pass on. And I think that's why this is also important too, and I'm glad that got brought up, is I really would love to be able to pass on the things that weren't told to me. The being told even that I'm proud of you. There's so many people I've met over the years that said they wanted to do something and years later have accomplished it or are in the middle of accomplishing it, and I try my best to always constantly make sure that I let them know that like what they've done is amazing. They've had so much courage and I'm proud of them. So for anyone out there that needs to hear that right now, whatever you're doing, whatever path you're on, like I'm proud of you and congratulations, because none of it's easy. None of it's easy. Talking about dissecting scenes, dealing with life stresses, female empowerment. There's always this saying I love, and I'll of course repeat it again when I do a live about like female empowerment, and we just talk all about it, which was empower women. And I'm gonna say it again slower, empowered women empower women. And I just think that just sums it up. And I've seen it tenfold in wanting to be a director and being surrounded by so many amazing women, female directors, or women in power positions that are willing to point me in the right direction and give me the proper tools to succeed. And I've yet to run into somebody that has been like, no, not help me, or doesn't want me to succeed or doesn't want to give me the tools. So that's a big one. Finding motivation, having motivation, which I think recently too, I just read a book called Grit that was given to me by my friend Valentina, and I love it. It was great, but I think motivation and grit kind of go hand in hand, and I really loved that book as well. You guys, really, I just want to say thank you so much for sending in all the topics. I'll give you a little recap of, I guess, my week. Let's see, how do I even start? I'm like, go backwards or go forwards. Just doing too much. If you're like, I wonder if you guys hear all these things. Usually I do the lives in the house, and now I'm like, there's a plane flying by and there's a fire truck. It feels very Station 19 right now. But I really wanted to be outside today. What was I talking about? The week that I had was it was a fulfilling week, and I did a lot of things that made me happy, but it just couldn't balance work and self-care and taking care of others. I just couldn't do all three. If anyone out there is really feeling the same thing, go easy on yourself. You know, I have little kids in my life that are not mine, but that I parent with my partner when we have them, and I love it. It's so fulfilling. Like, it's amazing. There's seeing little kids grow up in their brains and how they work and how they just process everything, and they're like little sponges that soak it all up, and getting to see the world through their eyes is really fulfilling. I absolutely love it. And so I got to do that, which was fulfilling, but at the same time was trying to find time and space to do my Zoom meetings, my auditions, the things work-wise that I can't even remember at this point that I had to do last week. And then also try to find self-care, which my self-care would be my working out, my running, my tennis, my learning French, that I've really set these goals for myself that I was like, this is my self-care, growing arugula. And it's unfortunate, and I think a lot of people are like this, that the first thing that falls off is the self-care. We stop taking care of ourselves first. And I don't know why that is. And I always love that analogy of like when you're on a plane, if something happens and you lose altitude, you put your mask on before you help anyone else. And so it's interesting that that's something that it seems so normal and rational. Of course, take care of yourself, and then if you can take care of yourself to the best of your ability, you can show up for others. But it's interesting that when really we're stressed and under time crunches and overcommitted in all of these elements, what ends up happening is you end up actually sacrificing all the things you actually need for your own self-care. So I didn't do any of it. I didn't get to run the miles that I really wanted to run. I didn't get to do, like I said, the growing the arugula, the French classes, the tennis. So I did a little bit of French every once in a while, but it was minimal. And so I think it's really finding that balance, but learning that, okay, I need to carve out the time. And I was trying to do this thing where I was like, well, carving out the time would be, let me just wake up earlier, let me get less sleep. But in that in itself, I'm getting less sleep, so I don't have great self-care. So it was a balancing act. And then on top of it, trying to be there for the people I love, for my friends who have a tough day and they need to talk to me, or someone that hasn't talked to me in a while and really wants to do a coffee or a lunch, like the little things in life that fill us with joy and happiness. But technically it's just hard to navigate it all. And I split my time between 2 locations in California, which also makes it very difficult because there's friends in different locations, and then a bunch of my friends, for anyone that doesn't know, live in Texas, in Bakersfield, and I'm trying to just, if you could just clone me, and I feel like a lot of us feel that way. It's like, if I just had more time, if I was just another one of me, I could get it all done. And I just, for anyone out there that's going through that right now, I'm giving you permission. Just give yourself grace. Like, you can't do it all. Don't beat yourself up if you didn't accomplish the entire to-do list, or if you disappointed the friend. What I've gotten really good at is apologizing, but also verbalizing where I'm coming from so they can understand. It's not just like, I'm sorry, it's wrong, I'll never do it again. It's, I'm sorry that I made you feel dropped or, not important. I was going through X, Y, and Z. Not an excuse. I'll do better. I'm trying to figure out the balance, but I'm a work in progress, as we all are. And I think that really helps people understand that, like, you are doing your best and you are thinking of them and you do realize that you hurt their feelings, which I think is half of the battle sometimes, is people just think if you don't address it, like sometimes the ghosting thing, I think is what it'd be called, is we don't address it, right? We hurt someone's feelings and we're like, okay, let me just pretend that didn't happen and eventually we'll all get over it. It's like the worst way to do things. The hardest thing is to call the person up and apologize, but also just, to release it. It shows that you care. And you're able to have usually an open conversation. And if you're not, then you reassess and you figure something out. If someone's that upset that they don't want to talk to you, you work through it step by step. I'm a big advocate of sleeping on something and deal with it the next day. Not deal with it, address it the next day. Because sometimes in the moment, whether it's tired or exhaustion or emotion, we can't think straight. And so we get reactive and we say something in the moment, and that's when at times you can say really hurtful things, or just say things you don't actually mean and you're projecting. So I also believe when things like that do come up in arguments and tense moments, it's always good to, what me and Kevin call as a timeout. Like, this conversation is getting heated for no reason. We're both exhausted, we're both tired, let's take a timeout. And I think that is also extremely important. It's not always easy because sometimes you're in the middle of like a heated argument. You're like, I don't want to take a time out. But it's really important to take that time to step away, to breathe, to really step back and go, what is it we're actually trying to talk about? Like, what's the root of it? Because it sounds like we're getting on a tangent, which is usually what happens when things get heated. So that's a little bit of knowledge I can pass on from this last week. What else was there? So I was just trying to balance it all, and I really messed up, and I felt really horrible. Like, I really just dropped the ball on a couple things. I mean, positive is I stayed present with the kids at all times and was able to be there, and that was very fulfilling. But my brain was all over the place, and I wasn't getting great sleep, and so everything else kind of fell. So I've got to figure out, what is that balance? How do you carve out that time in a day where I go, I can do all these things? And finding the motivation. I feel like we all get that. Some days we wake up and we're like, I just don't have it in me today. I don't have it in me to show up and to do all the things I had planned. And that's okay. Some days those are days we just have to take. But it's hard when we all have like schedules and appointments, and we know that if you cancel that appointment, it might be another 3 weeks before you get another appointment. And so it feels like there's this constant grind that we just can't keep up with. And I sometimes explain it as like being a hamster in a wheel. And it's like, can I just get off the hamster wheel sometimes? But yeah, it's about finding balance, and I think we're all figuring that out. Meditating has been a huge thing for me. For those who don't know, I use the Calm app, which I absolutely love. They're easy, quick 10-15 minute meditations. I will say this about meditating. It's not easy. Like, don't, again, give yourself grace. Maybe that's the title of this episode, even though it was just supposed to be about why we chat. But I'm starting to go on tangents, which is eventually I'll get better at this and try to stick to a topic. But give yourself grace in the sense of the first time I ever meditated, my thoughts were all over the place. I literally was like, bing, 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 bing. Like, I couldn't focus, I couldn't meditate, but I stuck with it. And after a week of sitting there and listening to whatever the person was telling me to do, listen to my body and my breath and feel all the things, like, it took me probably a week before I finally had a meditation that I was like, oh, in 10 minutes got out of it, and I was like, that's what that is. And it's 10 minutes. There's even shorter ones. There's 5 minutes. There's 7 minutes. They're really great. They're really great to do because they also just let your brain shut off for a second. If you're anything like me, my brain does not stop. Somebody once said it's like I have a thousand little people in there going 100 miles an hour, and I do. I think about a lot all the time, and it really helps me to just stop and breathe and center myself and be in the moment. And it honestly, our brains are these powerful, amazing things that really kind of work through the issues and the problems themselves. Like, we sometimes try to force so much when the truth is like most things in life are out of our control. I would say about 90% of things in life are out of our control. We might want that job, but we might never get it. You know, we might want that relationship, but it just doesn't work out. We might want that thing, but we can't afford it. Like, there's so many things in our lives that are out of our control. And I think a lot of times we think it to death. I can somehow control it. If I plan, I can somehow control it. And I think you have to let that go. And meditation is one of those things that makes you just realize you're like, oh, my brain's going to do things and figure out the things it can figure out. And in the end, what I'm really realizing after meditating is like, I just need to be in the moment. Like, right here, right now. That's it. That's all I can do. And it allows my brain a break, which it needs. So yeah, I think that's really important too. Meditation, staying calm. You know, I think physical health is really important too for me. There's a bunch of people I've talked to about running. So because I sent this pledge with St. Baldrick's, which again, I am so in awe that I doubled the pledge amount in like 3 days. And I hadn't even run a mile yet. And I was feeling very guilty about that. And to give some backstory, I was trying to like, okay, I'm going to run 10 miles today. And I was setting these unrealistic goals. I could run 10 miles, but like I just didn't have time last week with the kids. And so I think what I had to give myself grace in this morning when I finally was like, okay, I'm just going to run 3 miles. Maybe some days I'll just be like, I'm just going to run a mile. And do that instead of, I'm going to run 10 miles. And if I don't run the 10 miles or I don't have the time to run the 10 miles, I'm not going to run at all. And I'm a failure if I didn't run the 10 miles. And this guilt and this shame that comes over me. And I was really putting a lot of pressure on myself and really disappointed in myself that this money had been raised and everyone had contributed and I hadn't ran a single mile. So I'm glad that I've now done the 3 miles and I feel inspired and excited to run the next 53 and prove to you all that I'm going to run these 56 miles. So I'm really happy about that. But going back to running and physical health, as so many people have said that they've kicked off running during this as well to run with me, which I encourage everyone to do, even if it's like a light jog. Getting outside is so important. They say 10 to 15 to 20 minutes, something around there, of vitamin D a day out in the sun is like so good for us. And running, it doesn't have to be like I said, it doesn't have to be 10 miles at like an insane speed. Like, we could just go on a mile run. Just maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes of our lives outside in the sun. Go on a run, go a jog. There's like, there shouldn't be this like, oh, I have to do this. And I think that's really important too, to kind of get out there and do that. Which is great that I did that today. It really perked me up. And I do think that physical health is so important for mental health. Like, I love the endorphins, and this is why I want to talk to people that can actually talk on this, like the endorphins that working out gives us. And I tend to find, which other people said as well, which running for me, when I run, I also kind of, it's my own source of meditation, is like my brain kind of works through some issues, some things, like if I had an argument that day or something's stressing me out or I just can't figure out what I want to do. If I run, my brain can kind of like sort through all the stuff. And by the time I'm done running, I usually have some more clarity than I did starting. So that's also another thing. I'm going to go back to a couple more questions. This is one of these things, guys, that I like the idea of doing a podcast because I can talk with somebody. Just sitting here and talking basically to myself. It feels like I'm getting sick of hearing my own voice. But I hope you guys are enjoying this. I'm going to go through learning to take care of yourself, learning to sleep, learning little treats to give yourself, you know? Hard to get out of your comfort zone and meet up with new people. Yeah, I'll say this, it's interesting. I've always loved inspiring people. Now that I understand the convention world that are solo, and I know a couple people have done this, they're like, I'm going to go to a convention myself. And I was like, I promise you, you aren't going to regret it. Number one, it's like going to Disneyland. That's how I've kind of summed it up now. And I really try to make it as much of like a Disneyland experience as possible. And second, it's such an amazing community that you will walk away with at least a few friends. And what's great is there are a few friends from all over the world. It's just such an amazing element. So yeah, someone said getting out of your comfort zone and meeting people and trying out new things. Anxiety is a normal thing. I think it's important. Someone said I'm anxious. Like, it's a normal thing. Like, I tend to find that for me, anxiety shows itself when my chest gets really tight. So sometimes if anyone ever sees me doing like this, usually it's because like my chest got tight, and sometimes I don't even know why. Like, that's the craziest part, is sometimes anxiety comes over me and I'm like, what am I anxious about right now? Like, I'm not going into a meeting or an audition, I'm not doing anything unique or different. It's like, sometimes it just happens, and then you kind of have to do the work of like, why am I feeling anxious, and calm yourself down. Thank you. Someone said that they are proud of me too. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Preferring authenticity over aesthetic. I'm glad you guys are agreeing with that. I swear, I look at aesthetic pages and I'm like, this is such a pretty page. It looks like a magazine. And I always am like, oh, it'd be really nice to be able to achieve that. And I just realize it's not me. I can't do it. I try, but I can't do it. Such great stuff. It allows us to make connections. This again was the question of like why we need to chat, why it's important to chat and to really make connections with people, to share loves and passions and joys. And we do live in a world. Someone said we live in the world, but this just isn't the case. And that's, I think, a real truth. What feels like now more than ever is like, I was told the other day, like, just don't turn on the news. And I'm like, no, you have to turn it on. You have to know what's going on. But it feels like some days you can really get easily depressed. Like, there's a lot of hard things going on and can feel isolating and lonely and just sad. And so it's really good to talk to people around the world that are sharing in it together, saying we're all going through this. It affects everybody. And I think that's really important. That's a good question. I was wondering if I should answer this. Someone said, have you ever struggled with body image? And I just want to say yes. Like, that's not even a question. I still struggle with body image. That never changes. I think the things that are at our core are insecurities. I don't know if they ever go away. We just learn to go, when it comes up, we go, no, stop. I mean, maybe when I'm like 60 years old, I'll be like, yeah, I don't care. I don't care about anything. Embrace me. This is who I am. But of course, I struggle with body image, and at times it's not debilitating. And I know at times in my life it absolutely was. I never thought I was thin enough, or fit enough for. My legs were too big, my butt was too big, like, my arms were too muscular, like some irrational thoughts that I could think of. Like, it happens to me, it continues to happen to me, and I have to stop and be able to stop it. This is a beautiful body it's taking good care of me, and it's doing all of the things, and sometimes it's even wrapped up in with body image, with the job of being an actress, because you think, oh, that actress is getting jobs because she's super thin and, you know, all these things, and I have to be like that in order to get the job, and that sometimes ties into it. And I think it's important to remember, like, because of my build, I was able to play a firefighter on television. Like, that was a factor in why I got cast. But also, my body is part of me, and I am unique, and I'm special in my own way. And if they're hiring me for me, not for something that I am going to strive to be, pretend to be, and struggle to fit into some sort of box to be. So, body image is an important one, and I think a lot of people struggle. I think we live in a world that's ruled by marketing campaigns that specifically target women, but target both men and women, and how much we need to look a certain way. And it feels like there's also this flip side alternative, where the alternative is, okay, now that's bad, and we need to accept this. But I also look at, models are beautiful. I'm never gonna look like, you know, I'm never gonna look like Gigi Hadid. Like, that's never gonna be my body type. She's beautiful, and I'm beautiful in my own way, and that is, you know, I think what's really important to kind of remember. So that was my little rant about body image. Talking and sharing absolutely helps others. If they don't, yeah, if you guys don't know who to talk to or what to talk about, I think that's also a really interesting thing, is a lot of times we don't even know what to talk about. Like, sometimes we don't even actually know where the issue stems from. I would probably say that when I was 19 or 20, I knew I was depressed, extremely depressed in my early 20s, and I had no idea what the real issue was. And I just had to kind of take one step at a time, and eventually I stumbled upon, okay, this is what my issues are. These are the things I need to work on, one thing at a time. Having conversations is important. It is. Instagram box. I think this is my box, or is that something else? I want to make sure I do this. Here we go. Talking about things is also great because it gets things, somebody said it gets things off your chest, and it really does. I mean, sometimes we just need to get it out. And that's really important too. Someone said check the box. I think this is the box. I can't ask you guys because comments are off. But someone said check the box. I don't know what the box means. I don't know what the box means. What is this? Anyways, not gonna get sidetracked. Let's see. I think we all get kind of where we're at, talking about love, getting different perspectives. We've talked about that. It's true, you never know what someone else is going through, to raise awareness. Yep. Balance in life. As a social strategist, I'm fascinated that you're a social strategist. I would love to know what that means. I'm fascinated by your job already. You need to hop on and talk. It's easy to get wrapped up in online versus offline. Again, it's to make sure you're not alone. To know that there's a community of people that will help you. And I think there's something that's also beautiful about connecting. Makes us feel like, oh, we can relate. Realizing that, truthfully, one of the things somebody said to me once is like, there's more similarities between all of us than there are differences. And I think that's so true. And so many times we get wrapped up in the fact that, like, you think I'm different than you. And the truth is we all have body issues. We all have, at some point in our life, to different variations. We all have work stresses and anxiety. And I mean, they say, like, everyone's nervous to ever stand up on stage and talk. Like, I get nervous and, like, all these things. And I think it's really important to know that there really are more similarities than differences. Like, yes, our specific situations about how we were raised and our upbringing and things like that might be different. But really, when it comes to life as a whole, we all have a lot of the similar obstacles in life that we're trying to overcome. So I feel like I've talked a lot, and I feel like I might be done soon. I guess, I wanted to come on here and talk about this. I really was feeling a lot of anxiety about where I wanted to start, how I wanted to structure a conversation. And I really want to bring people on to talk with, because I want to be able to have a conversation, back and forth conversation about stuff, not just me passing on the things I've learned because I'm one person. but to really bring people on that I've respected in my life that can really instill some knowledge and talk about their experience and what they can bring to the table. So, but I really, this might not be everyone's favorite WeChat Wednesday because it's really just me kind of saying why I think this is important. But I think that's what I was struggling with this morning. I had a lot of anxiety about why I was doing this, and it was to motivate and empower and inspire and connect and to not feel alone in this world. And I think that is why I love engaging with you all so much to begin with, which was a big question my therapist asked. She's like, why do you? And it's why I do, because I feel like, I really love connecting with people, and it makes me feel less alone. It makes me feel like there's this amazing community. And so thanks for being a part of this. I will try to figure out, and this is an evolving chat, how to structure it so it makes sense. I'm a work in progress. So yeah, let me see if there's anything else I kind of wanted to touch on. I think there was one thing I just mentioned that I kind of repassed. Oh, yeah, it's interesting. I think out of all the things you guys said, I definitely want to also talk about, there was what did I say that was missed? Like talking about the conventions and how they are. That to me was something I've always been fascinated by, like how that even starts and where that comes from. And so one of these days I'm going to definitely be talking to everybody about that goes to the conventions, like what inspired you, what made you want to do it, and what do you feel it does for you? How does it fulfill you? And then I feel like what's interesting that no one ever brings up, and maybe it's because people get uncomfortable around it, that's why I'm someone who's like, let's talk about it, is talking about sex, talking about our sexualities. I think that is something that really needs to be talked about too. And it feels like people tiptoe around it because it's kind of this uncomfortable topic. So those are two that also came up. But yeah, so anyways, the week was a rough one, even though it was fulfilling. I'm going to hopefully get some sleep and some relaxation today. And give myself that before I fly to London. And yeah, this has been awesome. I feel very strange not having comments on, but I hope that I would love to hear your feedback if you guys enjoyed it more not having comments on. And I'm open to tips on how to kind of frame WeChat Wednesdays going forward, because I'm trying to figure it out, and I just want to make sure that it's something that is doing what the intention is to make us all feel less lonely, feel empowered, feel inspired, and give ourselves grace. So yeah, I hope that if you guys want to run, please run with me. I did 3 miles today. I hope to do another 3 miles tomorrow. And if I'm on the treadmill and I feel inspired, maybe I'll do a couple more miles. And if I have a day where I'm actually really exhausted, I may do 1. But I will do 56 before the end of the month. So there's that. I hope you guys, if you want to run, come run with me. What else was there? I'm trying to remember. This was amazing. Thank you for joining. For all the people I've talked to on the recent Zoom lives, it's been an absolute wonderful time getting to talk to you. I'm excited for this weekend. Everyone out there that's really stressed, really exhausted on a Tuesday. No, on a Wednesday. See? I still don't know what day it is. I hope you give yourself some grace. It's halfway through the week. Go easy on yourself. Some days are tougher than others. For those going through tough times, you're not alone. But speak up. Don't bottle things up. Definitely find a way to speak about what's going on in your life. For those having body conscious issues, body positivity, you are beautiful just the way you are. It's always something I like to say too, that I say to people at conventions a lot, is like, you don't realize how powerful you are, each and every single one of you. Like a smile to a stranger, a hug. Like, there's so many ways that we can in our daily life pass on the positivity and pass on kindness. And I say lead with kindness and all those kind of things. It's really what I call a superpower. Smiling at someone, commenting on someone's beautiful shoes or dress or whatever. Just trying our best to kind of do one act of kindness a day, whether that's a smile or a hug or a comment, a complimentary comment about something or anything, or helping someone in need, whatever that is. It's so fulfilling to do that. And now there's trash cans, you guys can hear so many noises being outside, and it's really nice to be outside. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. And then it was interesting last night. I'll leave you guys with this and stop talking. I've been talking nonstop for 40 minutes. am an oddball. I am an oddball. Is I had this wonderful dinner last night with a few of my friends in a group, and I was getting a tour of my friend's house. I'd never been there before, and it's a beautiful house. And I was just in complete awe. And she has the most amazing green thumb. And for people that don't know me, I do not have a green thumb, and I'm always so impressed by people that do. And I'm like, "What's your secret?" She starts talking about speaking of the plants and the whole thing. And she's a big fan of orchids, and she has like all of these orchids, and one's in bloom and the rest aren't. And I was like, and so I learned that orchids, their stems like can die off, and you've got to cut them back, and the flowers fall. That doesn't mean it's dead. So I learned a lot about orchids. But at the end of all of this, because orchids, for those that don't know, they bloom and then they die, and then they bloom and then they die, and it's a process, and it takes time and patience. And she said to me, she's like, "You gotta love them even when they're not blooming." And I thought that was the most amazing thing I'd heard in a long time. And I was like, my first reaction was like, I want to be loved even when I'm not blooming. Like, even when I'm not at my best. It's important to be loved. And so I'm telling everyone out there, even when you're not blooming, you are loved. So I'll leave you with that. I will stop talking. I hope this went well, and I'm not completely embarrassed. And my maid is looking after for it. Yeah, this was awesome. This was great. I feel very overwhelmed with so much gratitude at how many people want to engage in this and talk about tough things. And I will see you next week on Reach Out Wednesdays. Much love. Have a great day and a great rest of your week.